This is an audio meeting. This program will be live streamed on Vedika's Facebook page and YouTube channel. Links have been shared on the Discord platform text channel. If any of your friends who do not have the Discord application and want to listen to the speech, share these links with them. For better clarity of speaker's voice, it's suggested to use earphones and broadband internet. If you are facing difficulty listening, please self-check your internet and earphones, device volume, disconnect and rejoin. If the problem still persists, get in touch with our moderators team in the text channel to help you further. Next, one can see questions information text channel as part of Vedika Discord platform. The speaker has advised beforehand that he would be sharing topic related pictures and other content in this question information text channel. Please keep an eye on the same for better context and connection to the topic during the session. And you may post your questions in the same channel. Please post them only after the moderator invites questions towards the end of the speech. Reason being not to distract the speaker or the listeners during the speech. Those listening on YouTube, Facebook can ask their questions in the comments box of respective handles. The speaker will answer the most important ones from these handles. Priority will be given to questions received on Discord. Now, our topic of discussion, artificial intelligence, ideology and reality towards a Marxist critique. Well, today we find ourselves in a moment of profound technological transformation, an era increasingly defined by the rise of artificial intelligence. Everywhere we hear AI, there is a growing sense that we are now living in what many call the AI era. It's considered as a transformative shift in human progress that enables machines to simulate human intelligence, learning, reasoning, creating, and adapting. From automating complex tasks to generating content, diagnosing diseases, and accelerating scientific discovery, AI is projected as driving innovation across industries. It seems to enhance efficiency, reduce human error, and create new possibilities for productivity, creativity, and problem solving. Well, with the widespread emergence of powerful AI systems like OpenAI, ChatGPT, Google Gemini, DeepSeek, and others, conversations around AI and its impact on society have become not only relevant, but very urgent. On one hand, AI is celebrated for its capabilities and efficiencies. On the other, it has sparked deep anxieties, as we all know. It brings serious societal risks, threatens to displace millions of jobs, widen social and economic inequalities, and challenge data privacy and personal freedom, social alienation, and a future in which human labor is rendered obsolete. So generative AI can produce misinformation, deepfakes, and manipulate public opinion, eroding trust in truth, misuse, and even existential risks if AI systems act unpredictably or are weaponized. So these concerns are not abstract. They are already becoming material realities for many. So in view of these apprehensions, as common public, we must understand first, what is artificial intelligence? Is it truly intelligent? If yes, what kind of intelligence? What accounts for it? Is AI, as the doyens of the industry claim, close to achieving human level intelligence or even consciousness? So what is its scientific content, socio-historic character, and its impact on political economy? What role does it play in current capitalist order, and how might it affect the struggle to transcend capitalism? So these are several questions we all have. So to discuss all the above questions, to understand the development of AI and its effects from a Marxist point of view. Today we have Comrade Bipin Balaram. He's a Marxist political analyst, and he is actively associated with Marx Circle, Kerala. He did his PhD in mechanical engineering, and now he is serving as a research faculty in Lord's University of Technology, Poland. He runs a blog, Revolutionary Spring. We can read his writings and critiques in this blog. By the way, Comrade Bipin is very familiar to Vedika, who has already spoken on the topic why Professor Prabhat Patnaik wants us to forget Lenin. These videos can be found on the Vedika YouTube channel. So let us all welcome Comrade Bipin. Comrade, if you are ready, please unmute your mic and start your speech.
Thank you, Comrade. Thanks for Vedika for again inviting me to talk on this specific topic. This talk, as was very well put in the introduction, deals with a most urgent question. This is a question of the so-called artificial intelligence. And this is not just scientific urgency. Artificial intelligence is a scientific and technological program. But the urgency surrounding the topic of artificial intelligence is not just scientific, but it is philosophical and political in nature. This means that understanding the so-called artificial intelligence presents a unique challenge to human intelligence. And you would have noted that I am prefixing the phrase artificial intelligence with so-called, the adjective so-called. And you would also have noted that in the title of this talk, artificial intelligence is put in single quotes. This is not a mistake. It's a deliberate. The artificial intelligence in the title is deliberately put in single quotes to reflect the fact that, in my opinion, this name itself is a little bit of a misnomer. It does not reflect, in my opinion, its true content. Either its true scientific content or its true socio-economic content. And I think that this name only stands as a clear reflection of what I will call AI ideology. AI is, of course, the abbreviation for artificial intelligence. So I think this name, rather than clearly capturing the content of the technological development, reflects the ideology of AI systems now. One of the aims of this talk will be to tell you why this is true. And for that, we'll have to take some necessary steps. Of course, we know that as was stressed in the introduction also, AI divides opinion like few other topics now. And the main problem of contention, the main question of contention is a simple question, which is how intelligent is artificial intelligence? Currently, the spectrum of opinion, the spectrum of AI opinion is very wide and it spans a whole range. On one side of the opinion, on one end of the spectrum are what I would call ultra enthusiasts or people who are ultra euphoric about the prospect and the content of artificial intelligence. While on the other spectrum, other end of the spectrum are what are usually called as AI skeptics or people who outrightly dismiss AI as such. So the AI euphoria or the AI enthusiasts have no doubt regarding the fact that artificial intelligence is really intelligent. They just don't stop there. They go a step further. They go a step further and claim that not only is AI intelligent, but only artificial systems can be intelligent. Only artificial systems can be really conscious. Then we would ask them, I mean, do you mean that human beings are not intelligent or human beings are not conscious? They would tell you that, of course, human beings are conscious. Of course, human beings are intelligent. But this is, in their terminology, a suboptimal kind of intelligence or consciousness. Because intelligence and consciousness, according to these ultra AI enthusiasts, intelligence and consciousness in human beings, in other animals, are limited by biological factors. The fact that this consciousness and intelligence has to be housed, has to be supported by a biological system, this makes it not optimal but suboptimal. In fact, the real the real scope, the real power of intelligence and consciousness can only be realized by using artificial systems. That is the claim. That is the claim at one end of the spectrum, which is held by even by scientists, even by many scientists. And this is the idea of ultra euphoria regarding AI. On the other side of the spectrum, we can see AI skeptics, or what I have already told you, scientists or intellectuals or thinkers who think that AI is only a minor technical hack. They think that AI is only a minor technical tool. And also, they claim that this tool or this hack will never be intelligent or conscious. It can be used for many purposes. It can be used for many important jobs. But it's neither intelligent nor conscious, according to these AI skeptics. And they sometimes joke, and this is a very common joke that goes around all the time, that AI is only autocomplete on steroids. We are very familiar with autocomplete function in mobile phones and documentation softwares, wherein you type 2 or 3 words and then it suggests the word to complete it, how to complete the sentence. So this, they jokingly say, the AI skeptics jokingly maintain that AI, they have essentially AI systems like ChatGPT or Gemini or DeepSeek in mind, these large language models. They think, or they maintain, that these are only technical hacks and can be considered as powerful autocomplete machines. So they call it autocomplete on steroids. So the AI euphoria, which we saw, the AI enthusiasm that we saw, which is at one end of the spectrum, can immediately lead to paranoia also. Because if AI is intelligent and if AI can become conscious, then there is always a problem of AI agents acting against humanity itself in a Frankenstein-like scenario. And this leads us to paranoid scenarios like AI taking over the world, enslaving humans becoming extinct, etc., etc. All these scenarios, which have been, given enough media coverage in the past 4 or 5 years. So this euphoria and paranoia are not opposites. They belong to the same camp. Because if you are enthusiastic and euphoric in the ultra way about AI, then it also immediately generates paranoia. So in these talks, what we'll try to do is we'll try to take some preliminary steps towards the correct understanding of AI. In particular, we would like to know what its scientific nature is, what the socio-historic character of artificial intelligence is, and what will be its economic and political consequences if it continues to grow in the rate that it has grown till now. But before going into these questions, we have to quickly preview the prevalent ideas and claims about AI, which is prevalent now and which we are all familiar about, but still I'll quickly want to go through these ideas before we go forward with an understanding of AI. The first known usage of the word artificial intelligence is credited to a funding proposal submitted to the Rockefeller Foundation in the US in 1956 by a group of scientists, a group of very accomplished scientists, which include scientists, engineers like Claude Shannon, Marvin Minsky, John Holland, etc. Very accomplished scientists in communication systems, information technology, what was called what was not called artificial intelligence at that point of time. But this is the first, these scientists gave a project proposal, a funding proposal to Rockefeller Foundation, requesting them to fund a summer seminar, 2-month, 10-man, 2-month summer seminar in Dartmouth College in the US. It has come to be known as the Dartmouth Conference. It was not a conference, it was a summer seminar kind of thing, but it is now called Dartmouth Conference. It was held in 1956, and in this proposal, we see the first known usage of the word artificial intelligence. And they define, this document is very important because it defines the original goal of AI systems. It says, the document says that every aspect of learning or any other feature of intelligence can in principle be so precisely described that a machine can be made to simulate it. So the original goal of AI was to precisely describe every aspect of learning and intelligence so that you can make a machine do it. That is, the original goal was to create machines that can think like humans. The original goal was to create thinking machines. Of course, we will see whether this aim has been achieved or whether we are any close to this aim of making or creating thinking machines. But this was the original goal of artificial intelligence, set out in 1956 in this document on the Dartmouth Conference. Right now, the predominant and hegemonic view about artificial intelligence is that this has already been attained or is about to be attained. This original goal, the predominant view or the hegemonic view now states that this original goal of making or creating thinking machines have already been attained through artificial intelligence or is about to be attained. So AI ideologists like the doyens of AI industry, academicians and media persons sympathetic to corporate AI industry, they all claim that AI is already intelligent. They also claim that AI can already think in a rudimentary manner, of course, but it already has thinking capacity in it. And they also claim that AI will acquire human level intelligence and thinking very soon. And this is generally called artificial general intelligence, AGI, or sometimes called artificial super intelligence, ASI, in which AI systems begin or achieve a level of intelligence and thinking which is equal to a human being, or super intelligence which surpasses the thinking capacity of a human being. And they don't stop there. They also claim that AI systems will soon become conscious. And this euphoria, this claim that AI is on its way to intelligence and consciousness is propagated in industry and academia, and we hear it almost every day in the media also. For example, Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, which made the very familiar chatbot now, LLM now called OpenAI, ChatGPT. He said around 2 years ago that we are now confident we know how to build artificial general intelligence. He went on to substantiate this, and he went on to predict a rosy future after the building of artificial general intelligence. He says that we are here for the glorious future. With super intelligence, we can do anything else. Super intelligent tools could massively accelerate scientific discovery and innovation well beyond what we are capable of doing on our own, and in turn, massively increase abundance and prosperity. This is Sam Altman saying about the prospects of AI. David Chalmers, who is an Australian philosopher and who is considered in academic circles as somewhat of a specialist on consciousness studies, said again a couple of years earlier that there is about a 20% chance that we develop conscious AI in the next 10 years. So these are very serious claims coming from corporate and academia regarding the prospect of AI. And of course, as I told you, this euphoria is always accompanied by paranoia. And corporate business houses have always understood that paranoia is as good for business as paranoia. Paranoia is as good for business as euphoria. So shrewd charlatans like Elon Musk, for example, always is at the forefront of whipping up AI paranoia in what an academic have characterized as promotion by way of over-the-top fear-mongering. So Elon Musk, in a recent interview, said that super intelligent AI represents the single biggest existential threat that we now face. There was a statement by AI executives, which was signed by Sam Altman, Bill Gates, Dennis Hassabis, who is the CEO of Google DeepMind, and many other AI executives and academics. It was a single phrase statement, a single sentence statement, and the sentence is like this: mitigating the risk of extinction from AI should be a global priority alongside other societal scale risks such as pandemics and nuclear war. So they say that the risk of extinction from AI is as big as pandemics and nuclear war. This has been interpreted in many circles as a fear-mongering, a promotion fear-mongering to increase the investment in AI and get it on par with nuclear power and pandemics. But these kind of euphoria, these kind of paranoia surrounding AI has not been constricted to AI corporate giants. For example, Turing Award winner Joshua Bengio, Nobel Prize winner John Hopfield, who made what is called the Hopfield network, which is very important in AI. People like them have issued another statement. These are very respected academicians, not corporate figures, in which they said that all experiments on AI systems have to be stopped now because we do not know and are not confident that their effects will be positive or manageable. So they suggested that AI system development should be stopped until we know that the risks will be manageable. So we see that in all these statements, in all these pronouncements, we see that they're quite convinced that AI is going to be intelligent and conscious. But everyone is not convinced. As I told you before, AI skeptics also abound. And there have been a number of books published, number of scholarly articles also published in recent years, which just dismisses AI as a big fraud. For example, a computer scientist, Eric Larson, has called AI a myth. The linguist Emily Bender has recently called AI a con. And literary critic Agnes Fletcher, in an article recently, has called AI a hoax. And Ian Bogost, who is a game developer, has called artificial intelligence a mirage. And Luke Savage, for example, a writer, has called said that AI is a heist. Even though these skeptical comments are there, the dominant hegemonic view is that of corporate giants and their academic ideologies. And this view on AI involves these points that I am going to list out here. The first one is that AI is a project to create thinking systems. That is the dominant view now held on AI, that AI is a project to create thinking systems. The second point being held is that AI is already intelligent and has rudimentary thinking capacities. The third one is that AI will soon become artificial general intelligence and artificial super intelligence, in which they'll be as intelligent and will have as thinking capacity as humans and will go beyond humans very quickly. Another hegemonic view being held is that AI is already creative. We can see that the large language models are already writing poems, writing novels, screenplays, doing paintings, proving theorems, solving mathematical and physical problems, clearing all kinds of exams. So this has led to the hegemonic view that AI is already creative. It has creativity. And the last point is that it will become conscious very soon. And that may be very dangerous to human beings. So these are the points related to the currently held hegemonic view on AI. Our idea is to understand whether these claims are true. And for that, an understanding of AI in its totality is essential. And I stress the word totality here, because this kind of an understanding of any technological development, any scientific development, cannot be obtained by restricting our analysis to the scientific aspects of the development only. For example, if we understand the science behind AI, and if we concentrate only on the science behind AI, we may not be able to, and we will not be able to understand the development like AI in its totality, in its socio-historical and economic totality. A good example of this is the analysis of machines, automation, by Marx in his Capital Volume 1. There, he says one important point which we should consider in our analysis of AI. He says that in textbooks on mathematics and mechanics, we can always see that tools and machines are not differentiated. For example, you take a textbook on machine dynamics, any textbook on machine dynamics. In the first page or the second page, you will see the concept explained that a simple lever, hand lever, is also a machine. This is true scientifically. But Marx says that from the economic standpoint, this explanation is worth nothing because the historical element is missing from it. Marx says that even though it is scientifically true, a tool, a simple tool, a handheld tool, and a machine, scientifically they are equivalent, of course. But historically, socioeconomically, they are not equivalent, because it is the machine has come out of the tool has graduated to a machine. And if we equate them by using just instrumental science, then you fail to understand the dynamics that gave rise to machines. So in the same way, in order to understand AI in its totality, we have to understand it in its socio-economic and historical development also. But this does not at all mean that we should neglect the science. We neglect the science at our own peril. Because after saying this, what I told you, Marx goes on in his Capital to analyze automation, to analyze machines, the process of automation. And this analysis is firmly based, deeply informed by the science of these machines, by the technological aspects of these machines. So Marx himself shows to us that even though our analysis is not restricted to science, it is firmly based on the scientific and technological aspect. That is exactly what we are going to, we will try to do here, at least. And for that, I suggest that we have a quick look at the scientific content of AI. Of course, I will not pretend here that the scientific content that I am going to explain about AI here is in any way comprehensive or rigorous. It is not rigorous. It is not comprehensive. What I will try to do, and it is common sense that such analysis of the science of AI cannot be done in a couple of lectures. So what I'll try to do without having any pretensions of being comprehensive or rigorous is only to outline, to give you an outline of AI systems, which will give you, hopefully, a feel of the science behind AI. Only a feel. I suggest that if you're not very familiar with the science of AI, I suggest that you build on this feel using other textbooks and materials and scientific materials, etc. But here, the analysis or the presentation that will follow is only aimed at giving you an outline and a feel of the science of AI. AI is a very general term, so I will concentrate mainly on a subset of AI which is called machine learning or deep learning. This can be done with no real loss of generality because machine learning or deep learning has emerged now as the dominant paradigm of AI. For example, the stupendous success of large language models, etc., is mainly due to a particular technique in AI called deep learning. So I'll concentrate on this technique, and as examples of AI systems, I will be considering large language models like ChatGPT or Gemini or other like systems. Now, this is done because almost everyone is familiar with these large language models. Either you have used it or you know how to use it and what happens. So with these introductory things, let me go and try and explain to you what goes on inside an AI system. Typically, the basic idea of any AI or machine learning paradigm is to search relations between different factors. These are called variables in scientific terminology, but that really doesn't matter. So we would like to establish relations or find out relations between different factors which are dependent on each other. For example, let us say we want to find out a relationship between the hours that we put in to study a particular subject and the marks that is scored in this subject. It's a very practical question, academic question, which a student can ask. How many hours do I need to study this subject to get, let's say, 85, 90 marks? So what we are looking at as the as was already announced in introduction, I will share some pictures in the text channel here. It cannot be directly shared to you because there are too many people, and then it may create problems with the connection. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share the pictures in the text channel, which you can see here, which is titled questions-information. So if you go to that text channel, you can see the pictures that I'm posting. I would strongly suggest that you do that, because that will enhance the idea. So I have posted the first picture here. So what you can see is, I would love to have a model like this. And a model, what a model does is that if I give it the hours studied as input, it will give me Marx code as output. So this would be nice to have if you are studying geography for your graduate exam or something like that. Then if I have a model like this, which if given hours studied as input, would give me back, in a probabilistic sense, of course, the marks that I can expect, then it would be good. Now, the problem is, how do I build such a model? I can build it in many ways. And one of the ways in which I can build it is by using data. Now, what I do is I find out some students who have already taken the tests, taken the exam, and I ask them, how many hours did you study and what marks did you get? So they would tell me, some of them would lie, but most of them would tell me clearly that I studied this much and I got this marks. So let's say I found out 2 students and took data from them. Then I can plot the data like this. I have shared another picture on the text channel. So I can plot the data like this. On the x-axis, you see number of hours studied, and on the y-axis, you see marks scored. And I have 2 points there. So one, which are marked by crosses. Okay. So one student tells me that he or she studied 2 hours and got 55 marks. And another guy or girl tells me that he or she studied 6 hours and got 75 marks. So I have 2 data points here. I have 2 data. Now with these 2 data points, I can build a model. How I build a model is, I fit a straight line that passes through both these points. So the next picture that I'm going to show here will have a picture like that. What I do is, I have drawn a straight line passing through these 2 points. So this can be considered as a good model, or at least a model. Whether it is good or not depends. I will come to that later. But this is a model. And what good is this model? Because now, using this straight line, which I have drawn through these 2 points, these 2 points are clear data, which I got. Now, the line has been drawn these 2 points. Now, if you ask me, how much marks will I get if I study for 4 hours? Then I can find out the corresponding marks, which corresponds to 4 hours here. And that, if you see closely, amounts to around 65. So I can estimate that if I study for 4 hours, I will get 65 marks, or about 65. Now, the most important point to understand here is that in my data, I have only 2 data. In my data, I have not talked to a student who have studied exactly for 4 hours. My 2 students that I talked with, one studied for 2 hours and another studied for 6 hours. Nobody studied for 4. I do not know anybody who studied exactly for 4 hours. So a priori, I do not know what happens if I study for 4 hours. But this model, even though it was made from data for 2 and 6 hours, this predicts what happens when I study for 4 hours. Obviously, such a model is going to be very bad, because not because the procedure is bad, but because I have only 2 data. And obviously, the idea is the model becomes better and better the more data that I have. So I check out more students. I find 25 students who have taken the test. And then, as given in this new plot or picture that I have shared here in text channel, there are many points now. There are many cross. Each cross is 1 data. You can see that if I study somewhere around 8 hours, I get around 78 marks, etc., etc. And now what I do is, I do the same thing. I try to fit a line which somehow or approximately uh, fits this data. So scientifically, that can be done by a method called linear regression. The details of that is not important here. So if I fit an approximate line that corresponds to all these data, then I will get probably such a line. So here, this model, this line is again a model. But what is the difference between this model and the model that I had earlier? This model is much better because this is based on 25 experiences. The other one was based only on 2 experiences. Now it is based on 25 experiences. Now I can again try to find out what happens if I study for 4 hours or 5 hours. Again, there is nobody in this data also who studied exactly for 5 hours. But the straight line will tell me what mark I can expect if I study for 5 hours. Such a model building process is essential to science. We have been doing it for many centuries. And this is just called curve fitting. The procedure is just called curve fitting. So here we are fitting it with a line. And the problem with fitting it with a line is that a line keeps increasing. So if I fit it with a line, then I'll have to say that if I keep studying more and more and more and more, then I'll keep getting more and more marks. But the maximum marks is 100. So a straight line fit, a straight line curve fitting is not a straight line model, or what we call a linear model, is not a good approximation for this problem here, because there is a maximum marks which is 100. So what I can do, I mean, this is not very essential to understand, but what I can do is I can also fit this by such a line, such a curve, the curve that I have. I'm showing it to you now in the text channel. Now, the great thing about this curve is that it converges to 100. It doesn't go beyond 100, which is not possible anyway in this example. So we have a lot of data and we have fit a curve which converges to 100. And in this form, we get a model. So this is called model building or curve fitting in math or statistics. And this has been used in mathematics and science, even in economics, philosophy, all kinds of sciences, all kinds of subjects for the past 200, 300, 400 years. Now, if we want to fit such a curve, or if we want to find out such a model to establish a relation between 2 different objects or 2 different factors, what we need to find out are some variables. For example, some of you may know that a line is given by the equation y equal to mx plus b. So we want to find out from this data the value of m and b. That is all that we need to find out. And that can easily be found out. If you don't remember this MB business, it's not a problem at all. You just have to understand that to fit a curve or fit a line, we need to find out the values of some parameters, which can easily be done. And to fit this exponential curve, we need 3 different parameters, not 2, but 3 different. Now, this is a simple idea of curve fitting. And this simple idea is behind every large language model that we use right now. For example, we take ChatGPT or Gemini. Now, behind it, we see such a model, the one that I have shared now. It is the same procedure. It is the same procedure. But what we have, what the input that we give in the previous thing, it was the input was marks and the output is hours and output was marks that we score. But here, the input is a portion of the text or a phrase, and the output is its continuation, is the next word. In fact, it is the next word with some probability associated with it. But if we continue it, What we are going to do is we give ChatGPT a phrase or an incomplete portion of the text. It will complete it for us. That is the model which is at the root of all large language models. And it is almost the same as the model that we have in curve fitting. It does a different thing, but it is almost the same. The process is almost the same. Now, the question that we ask is, how do we build the model? Now, before I told you that you can easily build the model by taking data, by collecting data and fitting curves or lines. Now, it is the same thing that is done here. We collect data and we build a model. But this model is not a straight line model. It's not a curve because it's a very complicated problem. So what we do is something else. But the process is the same as curve fitting. And what a large language model does is to complete one word at a time. You give a phrase, it predicts the next word. And then it predicts the next word to the total phrase. And it goes on like this. For example, if the phrase is this, the best thing about AI is its ability to. If I give such a phrase to ChatGPT, the best thing about AI is its ability to, it will predict the next model, next word. And the next word can be learn, predict, make, understand, any of these. For example, we can say the best thing about AI is its ability to learn or ability to predict. And if it chooses learn, then the next word will be different. If it chooses predict, then the next word will be different, and so on and so on. But always, it is one word at a time. And that is why AI skeptics say that AI is just autocomplete on steroids, because it is autocompleting. But this autocompleting process is of a qualitatively different style than your autocomplete in mobile phones. Now the question is, what model? How do we build this model? It is interesting that because in AI or in machine learning, this model is typically built by what is called a neural network. And neural networks are inspired by the cellular structure in the organization of our brain. We know that in our brain, the basic cell is what is called a neuron. And these neurons are connected to, there are billions of neurons, and these are interconnected with all other neurons. So I have probably a picture here. So this is not a real photo, but this is a cartoon of the structure of the cellular architecture inside the brain. So what we have is, we have neurons which are connected to many other neurons with billions and billions of connections. So the model that LLMs use is inspired by this structure, and the model is usually called a neural network or a neural net. So what we have is, we have such. So if you see here, there is a picture of a neural network here. There's a picture of a brain. There is a picture of a neural network. And then there is one neuron. And this neuron has an axon through which it passes signal to other neurons. And there are dendrites, the structures called dendrites, through which it receives signal from other neurons. So each neuron receives signal from many thousands or even lakhs of other neurons, and each neuron passes on its signal to other neurons also. So we have a network here, and in this network there are billions of connections, and each node is a neuron, is a cell, is a brain cell. And this is the idea on which the model is built in any machine learning or deep learning sense of AI models. And I will show you one particular, one simple example of such a model, just to give an idea. So what we have here is many neurons. You can see the details of these things are not needed for us. Only a field is required. So what we have is each circle that you see here is modeled as a neuron. It acts as a neuron, and it has connected. It is organized into different layers, and each layer, every neuron is connected to every other neuron between these two layers. So this is the mechanism that produces the model that we hoped for. And the model that we want is the one that predicts the next word if I give a phrase. And in ChatGPT 3, I don't have the data for ChatGPT 5, which is the last one. In ChatGPT 3, we have 175 billion such neurons. And it is using this level of structure that we predict the next word in any large language model, in particular in ChatGPT. But now we have the model. This is the same as the straight line that we have, or the exponential curve that we have earlier. Instead of that, what we have is a neural net, which is our model now. But we know that earlier we needed data. We needed data to arrive at the straight line, to arrive at the model. This is called training the model. The model is trained with data. And how do you train ChatGPT? Where do you get the data? On what data do you train things like ChatGPT? It is trained on billions and billions of words, existing words, taken from all kinds of sources. It is estimated that ChatGPT 3 was trained on a few 100 billion words of text. These are taken from public web pages. Several billion pages were taken from public web pages. Digitized books were used. Some sources tells that the whole of LibGen, the LibGen portal, which has digitized books, pirated of course, but digitized books. It is estimated that they have 5 million books out of 100 million books which have been published. It is estimated that LibGen has 5 million books, and it is also estimated that ChatGPT was trained on all these 5 million books. I tried asking ChatGPT whether it was trained on LibGen, but it did not admit. It said that no, I have nothing to do with LibGen, but probably it has been programmed to say that. Almost all neutral commentators say that ChatGPT was heavily trained using LibGen. Then it was also trained by using text derived from speeches and even non-public web pages. So it has been trained on 100 billion words of text. And it is the same training process that we saw earlier. Our Marx model was trained by using 25 data points, which gives us this marks for this much study, this marks for this much study, etc. In the same way, ChatGPT has been trained on a few 100 billion words of text. So it knows which word will come if we have one particular phrase, because it has seen it before. Even if it has not seen it before, it can predict it. We saw that in our marks, in the model that we have, straight line model, it can predict the marks, the probable marks that I'm going to score, even if it has not seen that particular hours of study before from the model. In the same way, these LLMs can predict the continuation of a particular text, even if it has not seen this text before. Some people confuse this with creation. It is actually not a creation process. It is just an interpolation. It is just a permutation combination process, even though it's a very logical one. From lots and lots of combinations of text that you have seen, you predict what the next word will be for a particular phrase which you have not seen before, which can be done as in the same way in which we predict the marks for the hours of study. So this is what happens in a large language model. And in this, I would like to stress that in this process of training and this process of making ChatGPT model, human labor is involved in all steps. We should understand that human labor is involved in feeding the text to ChatGPT, that is in training the LLM. Human labor is involved in devising the algorithms, in devising the code, in making the science. Human labor is also involved in making the electronic circuits, to giving computational power to crunch these numbers. So at every process of training and making this model ready, human labor is involved. This is an important thing which we'll come to later also. So this whole process gives us a model. This whole training and testing gives us a model, and this model is what we call a large language model. It gives us reasonable continuation of partial phrases that you give it. Now you can also ask me, I mean, ChatGPT doesn't just do text. It, of course, the main idea is to work with text. It writes articles, poems, all kinds of textual material, all in the same way as we have seen before. One word at a time, nothing else. There is no real magic in that sense. But it also does mathematical manipulation. If you ask it to solve an equation x minus 3 equal to 0, it will clearly tell you that x is equal to 3 is the solution. Or if you ask ChatGPT or Gemini to integrate a function, for example, x power 4, you give integral x power 4 dx, it will tell you that the answer is x power 5 by 5 plus c, which is correct. Now, how does it do this? Now, it is very important to understand that large language model doesn't know integration, doesn't know how to solve linear equations. No formulas have been input into the large language model. There is no symbolic math which is happening inside LLMs. You can do integration with many other programs also, like Mathematica or Maple or MATLAB. But all these have symbolic math representations. They know the formulas. The formulas have been input into them. But in ChatGPT or any other LLM, there are no formulas. It is integrating. It is telling you that the integral of x power 4 is x power 5 divided by 5 only by completing the next step. From all the text that it has seen, it knows that integral x power 4 is always preceded, is always succeeded by the symbol x power 5 by 5 plus c. Because these words also includes all math textbooks, all question answer material, many such things. From that, it has trained itself that if there is x power 4 integral, then the next word is equal to x power 5 by 5. This is how it integrates. It does not know mathematics. There is no formula which is input. Even though we can trivialize this by saying that, oh, there is nothing in it, just curve fitting, it is just fitting the next word, there is nothing to it. But then it is a real technological marvel, because these simple things that it does leads to 20-page essays, which clears literary exams very easily. And it can do pages of calculations. Not just integration, pages of very complicated calculations. So, of course, it may seem very simple and very trivial, but it leads to startling results. And that is why the question arises whether it is intelligent or not. Now, with this scientific idea of ChatGPT or LLM or AI, then we have to now look at the socio-historic content of AI systems. So we have seen that the claims of AI systems, the original claim of the AI system is that we are about to build thinking machines with intelligence and consciousness. And that is the hegemonic claim about AI now also. And we see the things that AI systems are capable of doing now. It can write emails, letters, articles, it can clear exams, it can even write poems, novels, it can do lengthy calculations, difficult calculations, it can paint, it can draw, it can make photos, videos, it can find patterns in complex data, very complex data. It can even write codes. It can even write computer codes, very complicated codes. It can translate text from any language to any language. So these are, in fact, marvelous things. These are all done with this simple modeling process that I explained. Of course, it's not mathematically simple, but the idea is very simple. So from these, should we conclude that AI has thinking power or AI has intelligence? Before that, we have to see quickly into these things, what AI does. And then we can understand that all of these things were things that humans were doing. Some of these things humans have been doing for millennia. For example, writing letters or writing articles or novels or plays, translating. We have been doing it for many, many millennia. But it seems AI systems are doing it much faster than us and much better than us in many respects. And these kind of things are usually called machines. These kind of things are usually called machines because machines were invented to automate the human labor. So AI systems seem to automate human labor, but unlike classical machines like machine tools that we have, AI systems do not seem to be automating manual labor. AI systems seem to be an extension or generalization of the process of automation of human labor to newer and newer domains, in particular to the domain of intellectual labor. All of these things can be done by humans, and their intellectual processes. And AI systems seem to be automating these processes primarily, fundamentally. So we can safely say from this that AI systems, a fundamental aspect of AI systems is the automation of intellectual labor, which is done by humans. And to understand this automation of intellectual labor, we have to understand the automation of manual labor first, very quickly, before we come on to the automation of intellectual labor. And one of the most deep analysis of the automation of manual labor was done by Marx in Capital Volume 1, wherein he defines the machine. A machine like this, a machine is what is used generally to automate labor. So he defines machine like this. This is from Capital Volume 1, where Marx says, the machine, therefore, is a mechanism that, after being set in motion, performs with tools the same operations as the worker formerly did with similar tools. So what he says is that a machine does the same operation which formerly was done by human beings by using tools, which we already know. And he also says that a machine in general has three parts. It has a motor mechanism, a driving mechanism, a transmitting mechanism. A driving mechanism is basically a motor, electrical motor. A transmitting mechanism, it can be gears or belt drives or pulleys and such like. And the third one, he says, the most important thing, the tool with which the machine works. And he's interested in how this tool was developed and made a part of the machine during the automated process. Here, Marx introduces a very important idea regarding automation of machines, automation of manual labor. He says this, and I'm quoting Marx here, on closer examination of the working machine proper, working machine is the same as tool. Okay, Marx sometimes call it a tool, sometimes calls it a working machine. So he says, on closer examination of the working machine proper, we rediscover in it, as a general rule, the very apparatus and tools used by the handicraftsman or the manufacturing worker. So what Marx here says is that the actual tool that is used in these machines are the same as the ones that were used by handicraftsmen or a manufacturing worker before the development of machines. Before the development of machines, these were done by workers with their hands. So they used tools to do that. And the same tools are now being used inside the machine. So the tools have not changed. I mean, it may have changed a little bit, but in general, in principle, it has not changed that much. So then the question is, how was this tool transformed into a machine? This is the process, isn't it? Man used to work to do the same labor with the tool in his hand. Now a machine is doing this. But then we know that the same tool that human beings used for his labor, we can see it in the machine also, that the tool is almost unchanged. Now, what is it that has changed? Now, we may think that what has changed is the process of automation. We think usually that a machine is what causes automation. Automation or mechanization of the work was discovered when machine was invented or machine was designed. But Marx goes on to say that that is not true. That is a wrong way of saying things or seeing things. He says, and this is a very important point with respect to AI also, he says that automation does not happen after machines come into being, but automation has already happened before machines. How is that possible? He says that he says about the road from tools to machines. And he says that the road is rather through the division of labor, which gradually transforms the worker's operation into more and more mechanical ones, so that at a certain point, a mechanism can step in to their place. This is very important, so I'll read it once again quickly. He says, this road, that is the road from tools, manually held tools, to machines, this road is through the division of labor, which gradually transforms the workers' operations into more and more mechanical ones, so that at a certain point, a mechanism can step into their place. So what Marx says here is that automation does not come as a consequence of the design of machines, but it is the other way around. A machine is designed after the labor has actually been automized. He says in the actual manual operations of the labor, of the production process, this workers' operations become more and more mechanical. It evolves. The production process, the manual production process evolves. And through the division of labor, these processes become more and more mechanical. And at a certain point, it can easily be automated. And it is at that point that it is automated and a machine takes over this automated labor. So it will be wrong to understand, or it will be wrong to maintain that automation of manual labor or automation of human labor is a consequence of the discovery or the design of machines. It is the other way around. A machine comes into being, a machine can only be designed once the process has been automated in practice. So after that, we want to take one more very important point from Marx, which is not given in Capital, by the way. Marx analyzes the process of automation or the process of mechanization in two very important documents. One is Capital Volume 1, and another one is the preparatory notes that he prepared for Capital, which is now known by the name Grundrisse. The Grundrisse has a portion called Fragment on Machines, in which he raises these important points. And then he says that a machine just consolidates or appropriates, or a machine is only a crystallized form of the labor process, the tool, and the automation that has already been realized. And he uses two very important concepts here. It is termed by Marx as general social labor. He says, what is a tool? How did a tool come into being? For example, tool for making some part, some wooden part, for example. How did it come into being? It has come into being through millennia, through a process spanning millennia. So in this tool and in the working of that tool is crystallized the general social labor of humanity, which spans millennia. That is what he calls the general social labor, the social labor that has emerged from the experience of laborers over many, many generations. He also calls it general productive forces of the social brain in some, in one part in Grundrisse. So this tool is the product of the social brain. It's the product of general social labor. It was not invented by somebody. It emerged, it evolved through generations. So it can be considered as a product of general social labor. And the automation also, the division of labor also, the automation process also, in production process is also part of this general social labor, which is now consolidated in the machine, which is now crystallized in the machine. And in one remarkable passage in Grundrisse, Marx says, the accumulation of knowledge and of skill of the general productive forces of the social brain is thus absorbed into capital as opposed to labor, and hence appears as an attribute of capital, and more specifically of fixed capital. By fixed capital, here he just means machines. So what he means is that this accumulation of knowledge, which was done by labor, which was done by laboring class, and the consequent productive forces, general productive forces of the social brain, now is crystallized in the machine. So this is the way in which a machine gets formed. And then he says the general social labor presents itself not in labor but in capital. It is a consequence of labor process, but now with the advent of machines, it is crystallized in capital, because machine is just another form of capital. So this is the analysis of Marx, which says how manual labor with tools gets crystallized into a machine. And here, the most important concept that Marx uses is that of general social labor. And this is very important with respect to AI. Now we can use these insights, these creative insights by Marx regarding the automation of manual labor to the automation of intellectual labor, which is represented by AI. We just saw that AI can be characterized fundamentally, basically, as automation in the domain of intellectual labor most of the time. And in the domain of intellectual labor, we can understand the similarity between what Marx says and what happens in AI if we ask one very simple question. And the question is like this: who writes the article that an large language model drafts? For example, you ask ChatGPT to draft a 20-page article on some issue, on some subject. It easily does that. It's a very good article. It involves all the points. It's grammatically correct. The structure is fantastic, wonderful, everything. Yes. But this drafted article, who writes it? Who has written it? Whose creative input has gone into writing of this article? The AI enthusiasts would tell you that ChatGPT wrote it. It is intelligent, it is thinking, it is soon to be conscious, so it wrote it. But we know that this is not fully true. We know that this LLM, this large language model, has been trained on billions and billions of texts, and it is from the model created from this training that it has written it. The same question can be asked by in another scenario also. Who integrates the function that ChatGPT gives you? If you tell ChatGPT to integrate x power 4, it will integrate it. It will give the answer back. But who integrates it? Now, my claim here is that this article that ChatGPT has given you, or this integral that ChatGPT has furnished, these are products of what Marx called general social labor. Why are they products of general social labor? Because it is the product of general social labor that has been fed into ChatGPT. The data that has been used to feed or train the large language model are all results of what Marx called the general social labor. It is the crystallized form of human labor which has been the LLM has been trained on crystallized form of human labor over many millennia. And what it is doing, it is interpolating from that general social labor and producing a logical continuation of whatever you wanted to do. Thus, many intellectuals, including Noam Chomsky, has accused LLMs of plagiarism. Noam Chomsky always says that ChatGPT is just plagiarizing things. It is justified to a particular extent, because when LLM gives you an article, this article is the result of the social brain. But it is drafted definitely by this model. It has been trained to draft this. But the ideas are not its. All the ideas are taken from the crystallized form of this social brain, of the general social labor, involving millennia of intellectual labor. So what ChatGPT does, or any LLM does, is to resort to one kind of permutation and combination, to resort to straightforward interpolation, to look at correlations, and to produce a logically binding text which reproduces the general social labor in a crystallized form. So this is the connection between automation of manual labor, as Marx saw it, and automation of intellectual labor, which is happening in large language models. Both are not exactly the same. They are not exactly the same. There are very important differences between automation of manual labor and automation of intellectual labor. For example, we would deal with it in a more deeper way tomorrow, in tomorrow's lecture, but we have to always understand that in automation of manual labor, we know exactly what the labor process is going to be. We know exactly what the processes are going to be, and we know exactly what the result we are going to get. We want the machine to build or to make a bolt. It makes a bolt with that particular dimensions every time. But in intellectual labor, automation of intellectual labor through AI, through LLMs, it's very different. Every time you tell ChatGPT to write an essay on special theory of relativity, it comes up with different essays, and you don't know what is going to come out. So there is a reason for this. There is no mysticism behind this. There is a reason for this, which we will do tomorrow. But we should not be under the impression that automation of intellectual labor and automation of manual labor, that is automation represented by machines of 18th and 19th century and automation represented by AI systems of the 21st century, we shouldn't be under the impression that they are the same. They are exactly the same. No, there are very important distinctions, but essentially, qualitatively, they are doing the same things. And they are using what is called general social labor or general productive forces of the social brain, as Marx put it. Hence, I have used up around 1 hour 20 minutes. So I would like to stop in 5 minutes this part of the lecture, and then we will continue it tomorrow. So hence, we can conclude this part by saying that the socio-historic content of AI seems to be that it is the automation of intellectual labor, or in a more general sense, it is the extension of automation to newer and newer domains, which basically involves intellectual labor, utilizing the products of social brain and general social labor, which are appropriated by these AI systems free of cost. This is again very important point when we deal with political economy of artificial intelligence tomorrow. We will come back to these points. Please understand that the general social labor, which is crystallized in billions and billions of books and written material on which your LLM has been trained, this was done. This appropriation happened free of cost. Living labor was involved in this training process, and that was, that was paid also. But this appropriation of productive forces of social brain was free of cost. Okay, this is an important point. But it seems that this is what happened, and AI is the automation of intellectual labor, and the result that it is producing is the result that we have to attribute to general social labor, or the social labor that generations and generations of human beings have done in intellectual domains for the last many millennia. It is the result of crystallization of this that we see as the result of an LLM. Now we can also ask many questions. This is the scientific, this is a quick outline of the scientific and socio-historic essence of AI, but many questions remain. For example, we have not touched upon the question whether AI is really intelligent or not. We have not touched upon the question whether there is a chance that it will become conscious or not. And we have not touched upon the question of the political and economic consequences of the development of AI. For example, we can easily say that we can easily claim that the model that we built has been inspired by human brain. It incorporates the essential process that happens in human brain. So what stops this model from being intelligent? We can also claim, as AI enthusiasts do, that Yes, it is an interpolation process. Yes, it is using the crystallized knowledge. But don't humans also do that? Isn't human thinking also an interpolation? Isn't human thinking also a form of combination and permutation? So these questions have to be addressed, and they have to be addressed from the same scientific and socio-economic, socio-historic point of view, which we will do tomorrow. So tomorrow we will try to have the um, philosophical as well as political economic consequences of AI and questions related to that. So with these points, let me stop for today. Thank you very much. If you have questions, please put up in the text chat. I'll be very happy to answer those that I know. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, comrade. Please take a couple of minutes break and maybe have a sip of water or catch fresh air to make yourself comfortable after this long and tiring speech. Meanwhile, I shall make some important announcements to all the participants. Firstly, questions. As mentioned in the beginning of the session, please post your questions in the Discord questions information text channel. Those listening on YouTube, Facebook can ask their questions in the comments box of respective handles. The speaker will answer the most important ones from those handles. Priority will be given to questions received on Discord. So Vedika team encourages everyone to create an account on Discord to effectively participate in future sessions. Then we have a Vedika YouTube channel. We are making the speeches held at Vedika available on their channel. So far, close to 200 speeches are available. By subscribing to the channel, you can easily listen to the recorded speeches and share them with your friends. Do subscribe to the channel. Details of Vedika sessions and programs can be followed on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Links have already been shared for easy access. Then we have a WhatsApp group. Vedika team is also managing this WhatsApp group to share details of the platform sessions, materials provided by the speakers, and YouTube record as well. Only admins are allowed to post here. A link has been shared in the questions information text channel. Those who have not joined so far can join through this link. You can share the link with your friends as well. And to share your comments, remarks, knowledge, or additional information on the topics discussed in the Vedika sessions, like this one or other contemporary issues, and fundamental Marxist theoretical aspects, we have open forum text channel as well that you can see. Feel free to use this when the session is not taking place to avoid distraction during the session. Now we can take questions. Comrade Bipin, if you are ready, let's take the questions.
Yes. Sure, comrade. Sure.
Okay, first question is coming from Adesh. Even if it is not actual intelligence, should it not be used given the amount of fresh water used in data centers for cooling, electricity used, which can be more beneficial to actual humans? Microsoft wanted to lease nuclear reactors, within the brackets. So that one, comrade, or you want me to repeat?
Can you repeat it once again? I didn't get the first part of it.
Yeah, I'll read it slowly. This is from Adesh. Even if it is not actual intelligence, should it not be used given the amount of fresh water used in data centers for cooling, electricity used, which can be more beneficial to actual humans?
Yes. This is a very important point that the comrade raises. because there has been environmental costs to the maintenance of AI systems. I think he is referring to that, and there have been many struggles in many parts of the world over the use of drinking water for cooling of these systems, because the AI servers and AI machines have to crunch enormous amount of data. This needs electronics, this needs cooling solutions, this needs GPUs, this needs other labor and other environmental natural things. So all these have been leased and used for this. So this has led to environmental degradation, natural problems, natural catastrophes at many places, and that is becoming an issue. So we will deal with this problem when we deal with the political economic aspects of the AI growth tomorrow. So more details and more perspective, Marxist perspective on this issue will be apparent only after we develop the political economic aspect of AI tomorrow. But this is a very pertinent issue and it has to be discussed, and it will be discussed tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you. A suggestion from the handle Yuna Bomber. I hope I read it right. Can Comrade Bipin please share the extracts from Capital Volume 1, which was referred to in this lecture?
Okay, that can easily be done. I will type the relevant quotes and relevant sections from Capital Volume 1 and even from Gundry's in the text channel here, so that you can refer to them very easily.
Okay, thank you. Next question is from Parth. If so much social labor involved in process, why biggest capitalists giving out for free?
No, it's not free. It is not free. It is only apparently free. You use ChatGPT. ChatGPT 4 is, apparently free now. You can make a login and then use it. But you use it for 2 hours, produce 2 graphs with that, and then it will tell you that your quota for today is over. Either you subscribe, giving some money, or you come back tomorrow. So freebies are always to attract people. So once you attract people, once you get them addicted to the tool, then they will pay. So it's a standard capitalist idea. You will remember that Adani used to give out phones and SIMs for free. But that is not real free. It's just a tactic. And the LLMs are being made partially free now because they want people to use it, get used to it, get addicted to it, and then they will buy it. So it's not free. It's just a marketing tactic.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think people are typing questions. We'll give you a moment. Yeah, meanwhile, I have a question, comrade.
Sure.
Probably we will have this discussion tomorrow. So we talked about the social labor and how that is related, how it is that the whole automation process is done for millennia, and then this intellectual automation, say intellectual. You use the word. I'm trying to recollect that word. So. That automation. So all these things, how are we going to correlate that to, say, the overall social structure and how it is going to? I mean, we were trying to ask several questions in the beginning, right? So how it is going to evolve, and what is the kind of end game here. That's what I'm trying to understand.
Yes, but the problem is, comrade, end game comes tomorrow.
Okay.
As this as this lecture is in two parts, only
Right,
50%
right,
I have covered. I have only set the stage now. I have only set the
great.
stage now. This answers only few questions. This raises important points, which will help us to answer many questions regarding, including those that you posed at the beginning,
Right.
regarding the philosophical problems of the connections between AI and consciousness, etc., and regarding the political economic aspects of AI, how it is going to affect the social relations, how it is going to affect capitalism, and in particular, what is the end game going to be.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I assume so. Then there was a comment from Shashank. Thanks, Comrade Bipin. I had to miss a part of the talk in between, but really thank the organizers for this informative session. Looking forward to tomorrow.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think I see a question, but not in the text channel, but in the message here by why I am an atheist. Can you see that, comrade?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can see that. Right.
Yeah.
So the question from why I am an atheist. If I am seeing from a materialist conception of history, the consciousness of humans has grown as tools are upgraded. So if the capitalist mode of production does not fall down, but still the organic composition of capital functions in a different way, the people change according to it. For example, how society changed into so-called freedom to think after the Industrial Revolution. Do you want me to read again, Amri?
No, no. I have it here, so I will just go through it just once again. Okay. So I have a difference of opinion with why I am an atheist here. Not a difference of opinion, but I would like to, fine tune his idea here or her idea here. The consciousness of humans has grown in the sense that it's not clear what consciousness is referred to. Is it class consciousness which is referred to? If it is class consciousness which is referred to, this is not exactly true. It has not evolved organically or naturally with the growth of forces of production or tools, as it is said here. But what is true is that objective conditions have been set for the growth of class consciousness, but it has not always happened. As the comrade says, the society has changed into a consciousness of freedom after the Industrial Revolution. It was the victory of bourgeois ideology. Freedom, as we know it now, is only a bourgeois ideology. So, with the Industrial Revolution, there was a progress in consciousness towards individual freedom. That is true, but that we cannot assume that that is always a natural process, a spontaneous process. There is no spontaneity to it. In fact, now it is the opposite that is happening. With the growth in productive forces, the ideology of capitalism is also growing, and this ideology is hegemonic right now, which means that it is actually this ideology that is blocking the growth of class consciousness. It is true that the objective conditions are there, but the subjective conditions have to be made, have to be realized. It will not be spontaneously realized. I still do not know whether I completely understood the question correctly, but in the way in which I understood, this is the comment that I want to make.
Yeah, thank you. Just a comment to why I am an atheist. So, in case you have any clarification on the question, please do post that. And one comment to everyone, making an appeal not to post questions in voice chat because we generally do not read there. Ask them. So we are please asking you guys to post in question information text channel, everyone. And now, one question from Kaushika Dravid from YouTube. Could you go a bit into the question of value and profits in the context of intellectual labor performed by AI?
That's a very important question. And that is a pertinent job, but I am afraid I won't be able to take up that very important problem in this course of lectures, because that will necessitate a completely independent and new set of lectures. Here, I will not be going into that problem, even though that problem is very important. I will not be. I will be unable to go into that problem in this lecture. But maybe in a different set of lectures, maybe we'll raise that issue. Here, I will confine myself to the socio-economic, historic, and philosophical character, and the political economic character, of course, but global political economic character, not the value aspect right now, because value aspect necessitates completely different approach, which is possible only with more time. So that is a limitation that we have right now.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks, comrade. Yeah, hopefully we will have future sessions dedicated to this one.
Yes, and that too. These things are only emerging. The AI is in constant state of flux. So it is a scientific movement, and it is a technological paradigm which is developing every day. So it challenges Marxists and all, in fact, all thinking people to evolve an understanding of this. And so the value aspect of it is also only evolving. We are trying to understand the value aspect of it as is spoken. So maybe we will have a preliminary discussion on that as part of some other series of lectures, surely.
Yeah. Now we have a question from Linusi. Hi, comrade Bipin. Is it possible to speak about intelligence between manual labor and intellectual labor, as I am trying to understand it properly? You can keep it short.
What between manual labor and intellectual labor?
Yeah, about the intelligence between manual labor and intellectual labor.
But I did not understand that. What do you mean by intelligence between manual labor and intellectual labor? Is it the difference between or similarity between?
Probably I'm thinking it is a comparison or a difference between. So trying to
That,
yeah.
Yes, that is a very important point. In fact, I wanted to make it, so I would like to thank the comrade for raising that question. In fact, that's an important point, because I have to stress that there are no watertight, these are not watertight compartments. Intellectual labor and manual labor are not fully independent, and we cannot always separate this in all contexts. For example, somewhere Friedrich Engels says that manual labor involves a lot of intelligence. I can take an example of any manual labor. Take an example of making a wooden table. Making a wooden table, it's considered manual labor. workers can do it with tools, with their hands, always. But there is a lot of intellectual labor involved in this. We have to first design it. We have to first put out the dimensions. Even with purely working with wood, there is brain involved. So in this sense, manual labor is always almost simultaneously intellectual also. So when I say intellectual labor, manual labor, I do not mean watertight compartments. I mean labor which are predominantly seen as intellectual or predominantly manual. That is only what, for example, writing an article on AI is manual labor also. You have to sit down, it's huge manual work, it takes energy out of you. All these manual aspects are there, but it is predominantly an intellectual process. So that is how I separate these. These are separated. These cannot be separated in real practice. These are separated only in the abstract level for study purpose.
Okay, thank you. Another question from Adesh. Google has one AI named AlphaFold, which is predicting structures of protein accurately. Doing this by human scientists require a lot of time. It is also being used to interconnect various research papers to see if they provide any economic, medicinal, practical use. Should AI be limited to scientific fields only rather than being integrated into, in my opinion, useless chatbots given its environmental effects?
Okay, but this kind of a restriction is impossible in capitalism. These restrictions, I would say, may be logical, but are utopian, because in capitalism, what a particular technical tool does or is allowed to do is always related to the product, the profit that it brings. So it cannot be restricted by any logical humanitarian policy issues as long as profit is the main motive. Of course, in a higher socio-economic system, this may be possible, and there may not even be a need to impose rules and regulations on this. It will by itself, I mean, it will by the philosophy and ideology of the advanced socio-economic system be naturally be used only for purposes which are beneficial to mankind. But as long as capitalism stays, such kind of a restriction is utopian, even though logically that may be true.
Yeah, thank you. Next question is Puri Metla Jayakumar from YouTube. Before I say the question, apologies if I am not pronouncing the names properly, everyone. Okay, now the question. You used steroids. What does that mean? Further, what is this? Ilama or lama? So there are two aspects here, two questions here.
Okay.
You use the word steroids. What does that mean?
Okay,
and the
that I
other one
understood.
is, yeah. The other one, I'm not able to get it further. What is Ilama? ILAMA or LLAMA? I'm not able to make out that. Maybe you can have a clarification.
Oh, the Adesh has given another. Ilama is an AI model question from YouTube. That okay, I'm not aware of that. Of the second one, it's still not clear what the questioner meant. So maybe a clarification. With a clarification, we can go ahead. The first question I understand. It is related to the phrase autocomplete on steroids. This is a phrase that is used to belittle AI. Many AI skeptics remark that AI is a minor technical hack And then it is, they say that they comment that it is only autocomplete on steroids. Steroids is, a medicinal chemical that is used for treating things. So it, in some circumstances, it is thought of as giving energy. So here, autocomplete is, we know what autocomplete is. If we write a phrase, then the mobile phone application just gives us some indications of how to complete it. So as the LLM is essentially working in the same manner, as it is completing one word at a time, AI skeptics just like to say that AI is nothing special and it is just autocomplete on steroids. That is the meaning of that. We can also say that it is autocomplete on glucose. If you don't like the word steroids, we can also say that it is just autocomplete on glucose or autocomplete on Red Bull. It is just they're trying to get the point across that it is the same as autocomplete, but a little bit more fancier, a little bit more energetic. That is all that what they mean.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the word uh, Red Bull on Red Bull.
Yes, we can use that.
Next question, request from Patem Shiva and Shashank, requesting to supply some books or material to go through it to understand more clearly.
Yes. Regarding the ideas that have been presented here, the main points that have been presented here regarding the automation, the AI as primarily automation of intellectual labor and its connection to the ideas, Marxist ideas on general social labor and the crystallization of social brain, etc., etc. There is no such book because these are ideas that we evolved in our groups. So for that, we are in fact in the process of writing a longer article, which will lay out all these issues, all these points in a much more elaborate manner. I think if you are referring to the ideas, the main ideas that have been laid out in this talk, you may have to wait for some time before that article comes out, maybe a few weeks. Regarding AI, there are many good books, which I will, from a skeptic perspective as well as from a euphoric perspective, and good articles also. Probably I will try to post some of them or a list of them in the text channel here after the talk tomorrow so that you can refer to them. Right now, I don't have the titles ready with me, but I'll try to make it ready and we'll try to post in the text channel tomorrow after the talk.
Yeah, that would be great. Thanks, Comrade. Then the next question is from UB. Since AI is driven by social labor of authors, creative artists, and data created by people on internet for free on which the models are trained, can the AI be resisted by creating misinformation content that pollutes the model and renders it useless?
it's it's curious. It's just a curiosity. It cannot be done in practice, and it need not be done. First of all, it cannot be done because it would take, to cause a significant bias in the output of a huge LLM like ChatGPT 5, which have been trained on something like hundreds of billions of web pages. We may have to create at least 40 billion web pages ourselves, which is or 40 billion words ourselves, which is practically impossible. So practically it cannot be done. But the good news is that it need not be done. Now, what I would like to say, and I would develop this more tomorrow also, the ChatGPT or LLMs or AIs, and in that, for that matter, any technological and scientific development, in fact, any development, cannot be and should not be seen from a dualistic perspective as good and bad. I'm not trying to say, and I will not try to say tomorrow also, that AI is bad. That's not the point. AI is a technological development which has to be interpreted correctly and used correctly. And that can be done only by a socio-economic system, inside a socio-economic system, which is more advanced to capitalism and which has human-centric priorities, which capitalism does not have. So, as we saw with machines, the Marxist perspective on automation of manual labor or machines is very important here, because Marxist perspective or dialectical materialist perspective comes out of this dualism, which says whether machines are good or wrong, whether machines are good or bad. This is, the question itself is wrongly phrased. If we see it dialectically, if you see it in a Marxist way, this is not the question. Question is, what is the essence of machines and what is its political economic significance, and where will it lead us to, lead history to, in an objective manner? That is the same thing that we will discuss along with for AI tomorrow. And this means that we don't have to corrupt AI. We don't have to render it useless. We just have to appropriate it. AI, LLMs, etc., all technical developments have to be appropriated from capitalists for the use or for the benefit of a humane future. And that can be done, as we know, only if we transcend capitalism.
Yeah. Thank you, comrade. Yeah, there is a clarification by Adesh. Thanks to Adesh. On the question earlier from YouTube, Purimitla Jaykumar's question, alongside this steroids question, right? So there is this,
True,
what
yes.
is Lama? That
Lama,
is,
yes.
yeah, Lama. I think LLAMA, Lama.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So that's the question.
I think it's the AI model of Meta. That is what I hear.
Yeah.
It is the AI model of Meta. Meta is the company that runs Facebook. So that's the AI model of Meta. And if it is a large language model, then everything that I have said about large language model holds for that model also. Because as far as technology is concerned, as far as quality is concerned, there is not much difference between these LLMs, Gemini, ChatGPT. The only thing is that how good is their training material, how extensive is their training material, and how good are the finer details of the algorithms, because the major details of the algorithms are the same. So how good is the finer details of the algorithm? So I would say that it is qualitatively the same. Llama is qualitatively the same as what we have discussed here.
Yeah, thanks. Now, another question from Adesh. Is there any possibility of AI essentially nuking itself, since more and more content is getting generated and is available on the internet? The AI output from previous cycles is being used as training data for the new models.
If it is instructed to do so, then there is a chance. But then in any machine, there is such a chance. For example, if you have a lorry with you, is there a chance that a lorry can run over a bus stop? Yes, there is, if you use it for that. But the question is, on its own, in an automatic and autonomous way, can it set its own goals and then do something without being trained or clearly instructed to do that? That I am doubtful about. And that comes within the purview of question of intelligence, thinking power, and consciousness of these AI systems, which will be developed more tomorrow. So I think a more concrete answer to this question will come after tomorrow's session.
Yeah, thank you. Another question by Vaibhav Pimpalkar from YouTube. Is there any contribution of unskilled labor to develop an AI tool machine? Make some light on it from Marxist perspective.
Of course, there is. Of course, there is. For example, in maintaining, as another comrade said in his question, and as I clarified the answer to his question, in maintaining the technological circuits or the GPUs or the cooling mechanisms in the servers of all these AI models, you need a lot of unskilled labor to maintain these things, to maintain these resources running in very remote places. They are housed in very remote places where they have availability of water, availability of semiconductor devices, etc., etc. So you need a lot of unskilled labor, and unskilled labor is needed in almost all of technological applications. But are they significant? Do they significantly contribute to the direct output of these AI systems? The answer would be no. But of course, unskilled labor is needed to maintain any technological system. In the same way, it is needed to maintain AI systems also.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, okay. Adish is trying to explain his earlier question. By nuking itself, I mean it will render itself useless because it's getting trained on its own output by the companies.
No, I don't think that is a disadvantage. I don't think training an AI bot on its own output, as long as its previous output has been good, is not a bad thing. It depends on the type of training and the data and the output, the type of output that it has generated earlier. But it is not objectively a bad thing, because, for example, if I ask ChatGPT a question and then it gives me an answer, then as a human being, I would ask another question for clarity, or I would say that no, this is not clear, please clarify this. And then there would be a conversation which inside would have some portion of evaluation of the outputs of ChatGPT by a human interaction. So the clarification that I ask to ChatGPT, to the answer that it has given me, can act can be used in an evaluative way, by if these are fed as training material. So objectively, that need not be a limitation, and in some circumstances it can also be a good thing. So that the fact that it is trained on its own output, that I think will not render the LLMs useless. I don't see that happening.
Yeah. Okay. Comrade, I think we do not have any more questions. I'm guessing that this session is more of a very good teaser for tomorrow and a lot of questions expected tomorrow. Uh, so just so based on the questions and the overall lecture, would you please give some brief summary of the talk and a comment on question and answer session?
Okay.
Final concluding remarks and maybe introductory remarks.
Sure. So, what I wanted to shed light upon in this part of the talk is the prevailing dominant view about AI systems, and the need for a socio-economic and historic analysis for understanding AI systems. As a preliminary to that, we went through a quick scientific tour of AI with the aim of familiarizing or giving a feel of AI science. After that, I went on to characterize AI as a movement to automate intellectual labor in the same way as a movement to automate manual labor was underway during the Industrial Revolution of the 17th and 18th centuries. This is a parallel movement, qualitatively the same movement, but this time to automate intellectual labor. And because of the similarities between these two things, I claimed and I showed that many of the Marxist concepts which Marx developed in Capital and in Grundrisse about the automation of manual labor in the form of machines, in the form of mechanisms and automated mechanisms, can be used in this context of AI also. There are differences, but there are qualitative similarities. So the ideas, Marxist ideas developed there, can be put to use here also. In general, in particular, the idea of general social labor, which is, I think, the central point in understanding the effectivity of AI and the problem of intelligence and consciousness in AI. So this sets the stage for us to attack more pressing questions regarding whether AI is intelligent at all, whether there is a danger or a possibility of AI to be conscious, and what the political economic essence of AI is, and what are the prospects of AI in a political and economic sense if it develops as it is doing now. So that is what we will try to do tomorrow. And that, I think, will answer many of the questions that we set out at the beginning of today's talk.
Perfect. Thank you very much, comrade. Yeah, so friends, as we have been listening to the overall talk on AI, it all started with the basic question, the literal wording of artificial intelligence, whether does it really make sense in itself? And then we talked about the original goal of AI systems way back in 1956 that comrade brought up, and how the hegemonic people view AI as currently, like, being already intelligent. AI is soon becoming the age artificial general intelligence or super intelligence, and then already creating beyond human creativity, being its creativity being beyond human creativity, and will soon become conscious with. So these kind of claims are being done by the hegemonic people, and at the same time there is this paranoia around this. So we delved into that a little bit, and there was a good say, explanation of how this AI works, from a basic example to how the LLMs work. And then we went into the fundamentals of Marx theory and correlating that to the AI in a beautiful way. So the whole stage is set for tomorrow, and I'm hoping that we will have more and more information and questions tomorrow, which is already interesting to me. So let us all meet again tomorrow for part 2 of this topic. Till then, thank you, everyone. Thanks once again, comrade, for your valuable time. We will meet tomorrow. For now, exit the voice channel by pressing the red button in the Discord. Good night, everyone.